Lorraine Warren, as incredible as she was also a famously skittish person. There's a reason why she didn't investigate as many cases after Ed passed away, if she investigated any at all. So today we're traveling through stories of pub ghosts and ones that really terrified animals to find you cases that would have terrified our expert. Question for you, what's a ghostly sighting that's, scary to you? Let me know in the comments and let's get into today. Call this first one a close encounter of the furry kind. A couple from England was left wondering if their dream home was haunted after a ghost spooked a visiting dog during the early hours of a morning, with the whole otherworldly episode caught on camera. Now Victoria Hepworth, who's 35, she was dog sitting Kiwi, her sister's very young black Labrador, when she decided to set up a motion sensor security camera in the living room, just to make sure the little puppy was okay during the night. But what she and her fiance, Joe, saw the next morning kinda shocked them. The camera had captured Kiwi leaping all around the room in an attempt to get away from a tall, floating ghost-like figure, all in white. Now, in a statement to the media, she said it was really weird. I wouldn't say either of us particularly believes in ghosts, but it looks like it's floating or hovering. And it felt very odd because it made her think, what has been there? The camera caught the dog, leaping away from this weird figure, and it was just sort of floating above the door frame. The specter appeared to have a clearly defined head and shoulders, which cast a shadow on the wall. And Kiwi didn't bark in the night. Sorry, that was the dog. But when the owners were thinking back about it, they're like, maybe we heard whimpering? But she spent most of the night in her bed, sleeping. But then here you've got the dog obviously in a state of distress. Stranger still, this wasn't the first time a family pet has been spooked by unexplained activity in this 135-year-old home. So last year when this couple was moving into the space, their young nephew and his puppy had a strange reaction to something that the adults couldn't see. So back in the statement to the media, she's like, okay, remember the day we moved in? The nephew, family puppy, they were sitting about halfway up the stairs and both of them burst into tears at the exact same time. The dog started whimpering, nephew started crying, and once again, we all know this by this point, young ones and animals pick up on things. And that's when she was like, oh gosh, we've got a haunted house. And since the strange night with Kiwi, the couple is trying to figure out exactly what the dog camera captured, and they've done some research. What do we know about the history of the house? Well, the property was built in 1888, and the folks know who lived in it, so they're trying to, rule out, okay, you died here, you could be haunting it. You did not. You don't have a reason to. That sort of stuff. Now, apparently this experience has been out of the blue for the couple, because they hadn't really done any building work or anything that could have caused a stir in the house. And also, nobody else has a key, so we're ruling out a break-in. For now, at least. Despite all the creepiness, though, nobody's afraid. They're like, yeah, yay ghosts. I wouldn't be on the same team, but alright. She said in a statement, it's pretty cool more than anything else. I've never had a bad experience, I don't feel negatively towards the house at all. She even posted a story on Facebook. Well, that's how we got a hold of it today. And she's like, hey, what do I do? And some folks were like, well, once again, is this a burglar? But they're like, nope, it's not. But, okay. Turns out the ghost is still hanging out, so maybe they'll figure something out soon. Alright, next up, a woman claims she's captured the ghost of a soldier on camera after her dog started barking like crazy. If you're seeing a pattern of behavior, yes you are. Lael Robertson was at her home in Queensland, Australia, when her pets were unsettled by something outside. So she checked the security cameras and was astonished to spot a human-like figure lingering just a couple of meters away from her porch. The image shows what she believes to be a soldier's legs with boots on and the dark shadow of an upper body described as unnaturally disfigured. The grandmother says she's been told that soldiers mass killed indigenous folks near her house during the 1800s, and she believes one of them is haunting the property. So she posted the picture on Facebook, and a lot of folks were like, okay, yep, paranormal stuff going on. And they're like, yeah, this kind of gives me an uncomfy feeling. Well, she said, it looks like a soldier with his boots on. His legs are really clear, they're transparent, and she mentioned in the 1800s there was that mass killing event, so it could be one of those. And she's like, my dogs usually tell me if something's around that shouldn't be in the yard, and they were going nuts when she went to check the footage. When she saw it, she was like, oh boy, what an image we've caught. So she's been trying to put what's been happening into the paranormal, and everybody was like, nope, you're a liar. So she's like, look at the evidence, folks, it kind of is paranormal. Now, she doesn't know how they just got a photo of it and not a video because it is a motion sensor camera, but it just got a snapshot. And it's taken her a while to get used to having ghostly things happening, but here she is. Turns out she moved into the house 4 years prior to the event, and paranormal activity began 2 years after, with knocking on the windows, pictures falling off the walls. Pretty typical. Now, the Facebook post in question has racked up more than 450 reactions, 80 comments, probably more. And the caption read, "It's amazing what the full moon brings out in your backyard." And she describes what you can see in the photo, and she's like, yeah, it's a spirit. Kind of creepy. One person commented, "Now that's something paranormal," and somebody was like, "Best evidence I've seen on this page." The size comparison of the figures to the height of the porch is crazy. So unnaturally slender and disfigured, and it gives you a very unwell sensation. And somebody else was like, "Yeah, bad vibes all around." And after seeing the photo, I'm like, yeah, also, no. Get it away. Get it away. A spooky picture of a ghost at the Coombe Abbey Hotel was caught on camera. Now, a boy snapped the image of the spooky face peering outside of one of the building's windows during a visit to the attraction with his family. Oliver and his sister Rebecca visited the Abbey for the Illuminate Light Trail event before Christmas of last year with their granddad Eric. Now, Grandpa said that he'd been telling them ghost stories for a long time, telling them to look out for ghosts on the trail, and Oliver took the challenge seriously. He carefully checked each window of the building, and what do you know? He found something. In one of the first floor windows of the building, he saw a woman standing very still. He said she looked as though she was wearing Victorian-style clothes with a white cap and an apron over a black dress. And he said, when I saw this strange figure looking out of the window, staring at the garden, he took a photo on his mom's phone, which he was using to take pictures of the pretty lights. He zoomed in as far as he could, and she was much clearer to his eye than in the photo. So Oliver then called his mom and sister over to look, but then as he did so, the figure didn't move, but she disappeared completely. So, the youngster and his granddad researched the Abbey ghosts online when they got home, and they found the sad story of Matilda, a former maid at the Abbey when it was the home of the Craven family. Now, it's not the first time that it's been claimed that Matilda has been captured on camera. Paranormal investigators who visited the Abbey in 2018 claimed to have seen a great number of apparitions, including capturing an image of Matilda. So the Abbey has a long history and was famously linked to the gunpowder plot as Robert Catesby and other anti-establishment conspirators planned to kidnap Princess Elizabeth, who was staying at the Abbey under the supervision of the king's close friends. Now, in the 12th century, it was the largest and most influential monastery in the area. But after all of those went kaput, the ownership was kinda hot-potatoed around. John Harrington bought the property in 1581, and it was later acquired by the Craven family in 1622. Now, it stayed with them for like 300 years, and then the Abbey was extensively developed, with a number of buildings added. The last Lord Craven died in 1921, and the Countess was like, yeah, we're selling this off. So, City Council took over ownership in 1964, parks were opened to the public in 1966, and the hotel opened in 1995. I like covering my bases. Alright folks, this next paranormal footage shows a ghost spooking folks at a 300-year-old pub. A bottle of booze was spotted flying off a shelf behind the bar and plummeted to the floor. No workers were near the shelf, which was very well screwed in at the White Swan Inn, and it caused spillage down the back of the till, while the rest of the bottle stood perfectly in place. In the footage, a worker can be seen running to the scene of the spooky accident from the opposite direction, proving nobody was around when it happened. The manager said the bar staff was so creeped out afterwards. They felt the chills of the aftermath of this booze-destroying ghost. She's like, also, we now have 2 pieces of footage showing ghosts. We have no idea who it is. Maybe it's someone who just doesn't like booze. Right, I forgot. This is the second incident. The first one in February 2022, bar manager confronted a group of guys because they were spilling drinks on the floor. But none of them had touched it. They were like, nope, not us, not us. And what do you know? The security camera footage proved that they were telling the truth. It shows a full pint glass sitting on a table and suddenly toppling over without anybody touching it. Now, the bar manager's been working at this pub for over 20 years, and apparently there's been up to several unexplained incidents over that time. She often feels like somebody's walking past, and other staff have complained that they feel like they're being watched when nobody's around. One time the manager moved out of the way of a dog to find out there was no dog. And finally, producers of the British ghost hunter show Most Haunted, well, they spent about 17 years trying to capture footage of a proper real specter, and as of 2017, it seems like they found one. Members of the TV crew were reduced to fearful tears after they spotted and managed to get on camera a transparent ghostly figure ascending some stairs at an abandoned 17th century mansion in Yorkshire. The spine-tingling clip shows what appears to be a paranormal figure walking slowly down a dark corridor at Wentworth House in South Yorkshire. The TV show was at the mansion investigating reports of a ghostly presence inside the stable block following dozens upon dozens of unexplained sightings. Investigators Carl Beatty and Stuart Torvell managed to record the figure before chasing it down the hallway as it disappeared from view. Now the host, Yvette, was left sobbing after watching the clip and said the video was the show's most groundbreaking footage to date. She's like, look, in all the years we've been doing this, we've always wanted to capture a ghost on camera. We've got so many different types of phenomena, objects moving on their own, voices, but this is the first time we've caught a man walking. It was only when we edited it that I saw it and I just burst into tears. I was just sobbing. which, hey, good for you. And that's it for me once again, folks. I've been Alexa, your resident ookie spooky girly. See y'all next time, you lovely spooky people.